Hey, we're live. We
Oh,
did it. We did it, everybody.
all right.
Congratulations.
Very good.
Okay, somebody has messaged me.
Oh,
Okay, cool. Hi. Yeah. Um,
did we do it?
all right, I'll just jump right into this, I guess.
Okay. Boom, 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 pow, 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 pow.
We're saving that for episode 1000.
Absolutely. I mean, final episode got to go out with a bang.
Yeah, that'll be like our 15th final episode. That's the big one. That's the one that sticks.
Oh, finally.
Hello and welcome to 800.
There you go.
I'll try that again. Hello and welcome to episode 867 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, July 4th, 2023.
Oh, say, can you see?
Now sing the French lyrics.
Les poissons, how I love les poissons.
Not a lot of people know that the original French lyrics of the Star Spangled Banner are all about eating fish.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What's that on this? By the way, my name is Greg Stewart. I'm
Yeah.
hosting again this week.
I know that.
Because CJ still sucks.
Mm-hmm.
We love you, CJ. We miss you.
He doesn't miss us though. Uh-oh.
Close that door.
Uh-oh. I see dad eyes.
Yeah.
Greg's pointing off screen and he's got them dad eyes on.
Tell me to calm down again.
Oh, someone's getting the look. Someone's being told to shape up or ship out.
Your phone bill every month is really expensive, and I'd be happy to save that money.
Ooh.
All right.
Uh-oh.
I'm Greg Stewart.
There you are.
I'm sitting here with Phil Theobald from the great state of Washington.
That's me.
Who is coming to you live from his July 4th barbecue, where he's left his wife outside to deal with the guests that came into podcast, because
Absolutely.
He's dedicated.
That's right. I care.
Unlike Chris Johnston.
Too busy enjoying his family or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's that shirt you're wearing? Since you were just singing the Star Spangled Banner, I don't see an American flag on that shirt.
No. This is a work shirt.
Oh,
this is yeah. Do you see?
I get it.
See the
now.
shape?
Yeah.
At a very distinctive circular shape.
See, I thought that sort of inner semicircle there was a series of flag, but I couldn't tell what flags they were. One looks kind of like a Russian flag.
But I mean, like, you got the little blue patch right there with some red and white stripes.
Yeah,
so I can see where you would make that mistake.
Yeah, I love the white stripes. Are they still a group?
I don't know.
Okay. Hey, listen. Because we're doing the show this week, we did zero prep.
Oh yeah.
Because that's CJ's job. He didn't even do that this week. He left us high and dry.
Mm-hmm.
The entire week. 2 weeks now.
Yep.
I'm surprised we're even recording a show this week.
This is hardly his show anymore.
That is to say, yeah, right? That is to say, as I take a drink of my hot water and honey, my throat is still killing me. That is to say that we did not, could not, would not, should not pick any news topics for this week. So we're not doing any.
Was there news this week?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to that stuff. Do you?
I don't either.
No.
I
listen.
Yeah.
What I know about the video game industry, I learned from our show outlines.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So CJ is our conduit to
pretty much
to the video game industry.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go right into what you've been playing.
Oh my goodness.
Because I'll tell you what. Well, you know what? First of all,
go ahead.
Because you haven't talked a lot about Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
I haven't.
So I think now's a chance to do that. But you have another game on your list here first. Well, actually, you have it listed second, but I think we should talk about it first.
Okay.
So go ahead. What's this other game you've got on your what you've been playing list?
So Steam. Are you familiar with Steam? It's a
I've heard of it.
computer program.
Yep.
That you can download.
Run by Epic Mega Games.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and they have Steam decks that you can play on it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you know what it is? It's the Team Fortress people.
Oh yeah, okay, right.
It's the team. Yeah, it's the people who did the Team Fortress.
They invented
games.
first-person shooters, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Back in the original Doom.
Yes.
Of course, was their first game.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Steam Summer Sale has begun.
I don't pay attention to those anymore.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, you can only buy after like the 200th cheap game that you've never actually installed or booted up.
Yeah.
You just kind of don't pay attention anymore. But no, please continue.
I'm going to look at my library, my Steam library real quick. How many games do I have in my Steam library?
I'm afraid to look.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it would be.
Let's see here. Oh, well, you know what? I think if I go to profile, does it tell me?
This is
Oh, here it is. Games
riveting
owned.
radio. Okay,
Games owned. Oh yeah, because you have something really exciting planned.
Well, no, but anyway.
Games owned. Take a guess. How many games owned do I have?
300.
1,178.
Are you kidding?
I am not.
Oh my God.
I'll be honest.
I'm choking on this.
I'll be honest.
That makes me feel better about mine.
If you were to sit me down and have me go through these nearly 1,200 games,
you'll die before you play most of those. And that's if you live into your 90s.
I mean,
let's be honest with each other.
A fraction of them. I mean, I would die before I play probably a dozen of these.
Yeah.
And if you were to ask me as I read through these lists of games, why did you buy this game? What
you don't even know.
Is this game? Identify the genre that this game is in. I probably couldn't tell you about 3/5 of them because I don't know. I think most of these come from like Humble Bundles.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing.
That made it even. I mean, it's stupid to say it made it worse because that makes it sound like this is some kind of problem. But well, it is a problem, but not the kind of problem we're talking about. But yeah, Humble Bundles is like on top of the Steam sales and things being just ridiculously cheap.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, here's a Humble Bundle where you can get like 20 games.
Yes,
for almost nothing.
I have a game called Solar 2. I have no idea what that is. Apparently there was a Solar 1. I've played it 0 minutes. I don't have it installed, but it would take up a whopping 260 megs. I have no idea what this is. I'm assuming some sort of space game. I don't know what that is. Oh, here's To the Moon. I played To the Moon. That was a very good game.
Yeah, anyway, there's a Kickstarter for that now. Bestest Memories. I don't know if that's a sequel or what. I assume it's a sequel.
Like a follow-up?
Or it's a board game.
Oh, look, I'm looking at the Steam page right here.
Yeah, that's where I'm seeing it. I went to see how big my library is. By the way, it's 290 games, which I'm ashamed of. But not as ashamed as I was 10 minutes ago. And I'd say I've played, I mean, I haven't finished. I've played probably about, I don't know, 25% of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
A significantly better ratio than I have.
Yeah, but you got a much higher absolute number to reach, so.
That's true. To the Moon Bestest Memories is apparently a tabletop card game that they are kickstarting.
I just lost interest. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So the Steam summer sale is on. And I obviously need to get this up to a nice round 1,200. Of
course.
So I picked up a game that I've seen a lot of discussion about. I've seen a lot of memes. It seems to be a very popular game with the kids, with the Zoomers. It's the Pizza Tower game.
Okay.
Have you seen this? Are you familiar with this game?
No.
Oh, not at all?
No, not in the least.
Okay. CJ apparently bought it as well, according to my Steam activity because it tells you what everyone bought.
Mm-hmm.
So CJ apparently also bought Pizza Tower. I don't know if he's actually started playing it, but he did. CJ has added A Day Out and Myth Force to his wish list. Just so you know.
Let's keep rolling forward here.
Oh, no. We got time. So Pizza Tower is a game that has taken off on the internet. People seem to love it. And it's kind of like I've heard it compared to, and having played it, I understand this, like the Wario Land games.
Okay.
Because it's a side-scrolling platformer where you control a pizza chef, and you're running through stages to accomplish some sort of goal.
Okay.
You want to make pizzas, I guess. Maybe some villain is trying to stop you. I don't know. I didn't pay much attention to the opening cinematics, but it's very cartoony, and it's that kind of like kind of over the top 90s gross out, super exaggerated,
okay.
Ren and Stimpy,
yep.
Ed and Eddie style of
CJ produced that show, I think.
Absolutely, yes. He was the main writer, and your character controls and has a move set similar to Wario has in the Wario Land games. Like a dash forward to like burst through walls, kind of a big like kind of butt stomp to destroy enemies, that kind of thing. And yeah, it's really taken off online. People seem to love it, and I was like, okay, I will pick this up for I don't know what it was, $15 maybe I paid for it, just to see what it was all about. It's a cute game. It's a cute game. I'm assuming it's the humor that people are latching onto, just because it has a very distinctive look to it. It's all pixel art and everything, but it's kind of a weird, like, if you look up screenshots, especially of like some of the character animation, it's done in a very kind of intentionally simplistic style. The like the borders of all the characters, it's like really thin black lines, so it looks almost like a very hand drawn look to it. Okay. So it has a pretty distinctive style, and with the over the top animation and everything like that, I guess it just that's what people are digging. But it seems like a pretty fun little game.
I have a confession to make.
Okay.
I've never played a Wario Land.
Really?
Nope, not one.
You should play Wario Land. They're good.
I know. It's just
good games.
One of those I've just never. Because I think for me the main reason was I loved my game. Like I got a Game Boy in '89.
Yeah.
Right. I got it when it came out, and I played the hell out of that thing.
Of course.
I ended up owning about 30 games for it in the span of a few years, which was a lot considering I was still a teenager.
Oh yeah.
But then I sold it.
Yeah.
To buy a Genesis. I sold it so I had the money to buy a Genesis.
Okay.
And so I I always talk about this when we do our after show quizzes, review games, because anything to do with a Game Boy game from like 91 to 98,
right,
until the Game Boy Color came out, basically, so maybe 99, it's all a complete mystery to me. I didn't play any of them. I have sort of since then maybe played a few different ones, and I'm aware of some of the releases,
right,
but I never that was one of the reasons I never got into Pokemon. I didn't have anything to play Pokemon on, so I didn't play it. I mean, I feel like I was like 17 or something, or 18 when Pokemon came out. So actually, what year did Pokemon come out? 98?
98, yes.
98.
In
so
the
actually,
US.
I was 22. So there you go.
Right.
But so I always felt like I was a little old for it. Anyway, that's not true.
Hey.
I was going to say a lot of people our age were into Pokemon. So really, the main reason was because I didn't have a Game Boy anymore.
Understandable.
And it wasn't until I bought a Color that I got really back into it. I mean, I was a really big fan of Game Boy moving forward at that point, but
Right.
I just, from like 91 to 98, nothing.
Okay.
So, I played Mario Land, adored Mario Land, never played Mario Land 2.
Oh, that's
That's what I
another
mean.
good game.
That's what I mean. So,
Yeah.
but hey,
Well,
it sounds neat.
The Wario Land games, they are a little slower paced than Mario. They're a lot more methodical. There's a bit more puzzle solving involved in the platforming because, well, this sort of evolved over time with the Wario series, but by the end, kind of the big gimmick of Wario was that Wario couldn't die.
Okay.
If he got crushed by a block instead of dying, it would just flatten him, which you could then use to like slip through a tiny passage. If he gets lit on fire instead of dying, he just bursts into flames and suddenly he's running out of control. But then you can use burning Wario to burst through wooden walls or something like that.
Okay.
So it was that kind of puzzly platformer element.
Right.
And this game, like I said, it kind of borrows the move set from the Wario series, but instead of being more like kind of the puzzle platformer, this game it feels like, and this probably lends to it, is sort of developing this life online. It seems like it was built to be streamed, and it was built to be kind of like encourage speed running.
I mean, that's not surprising in the least.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you build your game for those things?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because the way the game works is you maneuver your way through this level, and and the levels are very much built up for you to kind of like barrel through full speed and jump over obstacles and slide through little barriers and bounce yourself up as kind of uninterrupted as possible. And then when you reach the end of the level, you destroy something, and then it's a timer starts going, and you have to run all the way back through the level before the time runs out. So it's, again, like I said, really kind of designed for speed running, which obviously makes for exciting Twitch streams or whatever.
Right.
So, and you mix that with the funny cartoons and animations in that game, and it looks, and it makes sense. So, yeah, it's seems like a fun game. I don't know if I'm going to get like super into it, just because I'm not like a speed running
right
kind of guy. But it's a neat thing to just kind of load up and play through a level and just go, yeah, okay, this is cool. I see why people like this. So, yeah,
cool.
So I picked that up. I didn't put this on my outline. But I'm just going to mention it very quickly because I think it's something I've talked about ages ago. I also, because I had played this on PS4, 3 maybe. I don't remember what system it came out on originally, but it was also on sale on Steam, and so I picked it up on there. But I picked up the Attack on Titan game based on the anime, because Finn has gotten really into that show. He decided he wanted to start watching Attack on Titan a couple weeks ago, so he did. And I don't know. I don't know if you're familiar with that show. No. I'm assuming you.
I know of it,
right?
But yeah,
it's it's a little creepy.
Okay.
It's a slight because it's about like giant naked mutated human looking creatures.
Keep talking.
That eat people, and it's it's a bit gory,
good, clean family fun. Yeah,
it's a grim little show. But it's it's not bad. It's a good show, and Finn adores it. He's like, it's like that perfect kind of like, I'm going into middle school, and this is kind of, this
makes me feel like an adult.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's got blood and violence and occasional cursing.
Right.
So he's been watching it, and we've been watching it with him. And I was like, oh, I'll pick up this game. And because like I said, I played it years ago, and I actually really dug it. It's by Koei. It's by Omega Force, the
okay.
the Dynasty Warriors people.
Right. Okay. So now
But
the pieces are starting to
oh, absolutely,
come
yes.
together. Yeah.
No, this makes sense. But of course, it's not. The gameplay is not like the old Musu games, just because the nature of that show, you're fighting these giant, monsters, that are several stories tall. So it wouldn't make sense for you to just be running through a field, slicing apart hundreds of them. So they have it set up where you have this, and it's all based on the characters in the show. They have this gear that they wear around their waist that allows them to essentially do Spider-Man rope swinging.
Oh yeah, rope. Yep.
Yep. So you're roping around, your kind of medieval looking village, or you're roping around the woods, and you'll see a giant human, and you got to swing around it, and you got to shoot your little grappling hooks onto them, and kind of pull yourself into position because they have vulnerable spots. You can.
Well, if they're naked, I'm sure they have a lot of vulnerable spots.
Not the ones you would think.
Really?
That's the thing. Yeah,
well, that's the mutant part.
That's exactly it. Yes, you can go for arms and legs to slow them down,
right?
But to finish them off, you got to get them on the back of the neck. That's your killing blow.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's you're swinging around and latching onto them and trying to you zoom in, and they do like dramatic kind of anime style attacks for when you do the killing blow and stuff like that. It's a fun little game. If you're
cool.
if you're a fan of the anime, worth checking out. But yeah, the big important one that I played this week was I played more Zelda.
Yeah,
Hooray.
so I'm really curious about this. So just so you know, we were chatting on our Slack, our production channel.
Yes.
Earlier this week, and I said I must be over 100 hours, and I checked, and that day I was at a little over 105 hours.
Oh my goodness! I'm never gonna finish this
and I'm
game.
sure I've logged another 10 this week.
Oof. Okay.
So I'm curious. I'm not looking for your hour count, but like how I don't even know how you would figure this out. Like, where are you in the game? Do you think like
Hyrule,
where it's not linear? Okay, good. We've narrowed it down a little bit.
Okay. No. I think last time I talked about this on the show, I had finished the first temple, the air temple.
Yeah.
The wind
or something. Yeah.
I finished the first temple where they send you to, where they say go up to the northwest, and you're looking for, what is it, the disturbances or
yes. There's the 4 disturbances. So they're the temples. There's 4 temples. Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
So I did that,
and
then I was chatting with you guys about what to do next, and you and CJ, your big suggestion was to check out the depths, because that is where you can find the auto build power, which of course is a very useful thing to have. So get it early.
Right.
So I figured I would do that. And I have this problem with playing Zelda where I'm enjoying the game. I'm legitimately enjoying the game when I can bring myself to start playing it. Because, very much a me problem. I know everyone doesn't have this problem, but when I go into Zelda, I have a goal in mind. I'm going to go to a temple. I'm going to go to the depths. I have a goal. And as I am on my way en route, I look over and I'm riding my horse or whatever, and I'm looking around and it's like, oh, there's a shrine. I should probably go beat that shrine.
Yeah.
To activate it as a warp point. So it's like, okay, well, I got to go over here. And as I'm en route to the shrine, I look, oh, look, there's a little cave over there. There's probably something in there. I should go look, and I should go into that cave.
Maybe
So
a
then
bubble
I'm
frog.
like,
Maybe a bubble frog.
You never know.
They're important.
And that just continues ad nauseum where it, I have my main branch I'm trying to do, but then all of a sudden there's all these little branches and I need to clear out all of them. And then when I finally clear out all the ones that I can see and I finally make it to my goal, then it's like, okay, well now I got to go through another couple hours to solve this temple or whatever.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, I got home from work. Do I want to play Zelda? I do. But I know if I start playing Zelda, there's like 6 hours tonight.
I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't think it's wrong, or I mean, I shouldn't say it's wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I don't disagree with what you're saying at all.
Right.
Because even when I'm playing it and I'm really enjoying it,
Yeah.
but every now and then, for me, it's because of the size of the world and the sort of the section, the part of the game that I'm in now. I'm very much in the cleanup phase of all this. Is how I look at it. Although I've uncovered maybe 25% of the depths.
Jeez.
Because I haven't concentrated on it.
Right.
So for me, it's more like, okay, I've done all the disturbances. I've done the 4 temples. And so I'm like, okay, there's a sort of a chunk of the map here that I've been there, but I haven't really explored it.
You've been there, but you haven't done that.
Right. And you can tell just because of the way Zelda works, if there's no icons on that section of the map, clearly there's something there that I haven't done.
Okay.
But so that means that fast travel is not really much of an option because I haven't really uncovered anything there. So it's like, oh God, this world's so big and that's so far away. Like, do I want to do that right now?
Yeah.
I do, but I also can only play for like another hour.
Yeah.
So it's like, do I want to spend an hour on that? So I totally get it. Now, having said that, I have found that it's generally very rewarding.
Yeah.
To do all that. But I totally what you're talking about. The world is so big, and the way the fast travel works, as in any game it should, you can't just fast travel to a place you haven't been to.
Of course.
So, the whole point is to get there and to explore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an undertaking. It absolutely is. So you're absolutely right. Like the thing for me that really struck me earlier this week when I got into this, like, okay, I want to start cleaning because I have this huge list of in-flight side quests.
Oh yeah.
What I didn't realize is I hadn't uncovered all the stables yet. I thought I'd uncovered all the stables. It's like, oh my God, no, I haven't. Like, I came over a hill at one point. I'm like, okay, there's smoke for a stable. Wait a minute. I didn't think there was a stable here. And I look on my map and it's like, there's no stable icon there. So I clearly have never been here.
Right.
So, it's just, yeah.
Run over there.
Yeah. Because there's like 16 of them or something like that in the world.
And I talked to other people like at work who were playing this game. And I'm sort of explaining my problem with staying focused or whatever, and they're just like, "Oh, that's what's great about it. You can go in and play it for half an hour, and you'll find like you'll just go take care of a shrine, or you'll find a stable or something, and then you can quit for the night." I'm just like,
right,
I cannot.
Right,
I can't. My brain's not wired to do that. So,
yeah, no, I totally get it.
Yeah.
For me, like in hindsight, again, not that I haven't enjoyed it, but like knowing what I know now about the game, there's a few things that I definitely would have done. I would have focused on earlier, like the great fairy quest line. Absolutely super important to do that because as you get to more difficult enemies, you want better armor, and the only way to really do that is to uncover the great fairies. Even just the first one in the Northeast, I forget her name, but she's the first one you can bring back basically.
Okay.
And she'll the armor that I have is like the actual armor that you can find underneath Hyrule Castle. She upgrades that.
Okay.
So, and she can upgrade it more if you uncover the all 4 of the sisters. But and then the other thing is the little switch type thing that you're carrying, the I forget what they call it in the game. This is what your map's on and everything. It's what you use for fast travel.
Pura pad.
Pura pad. That's it.
Yeah.
So if you get to the point where Robbie goes to his lab, which is in Hateno, I think, which is like a southeastern town. If you go meet him there, you can unlock. You can do a short quest to unlock the ability to put down fast travel pads.
Oh,
you can put down up to 3 of them.
Oh,
so it's made exploration that much better, because as you're going into an area where if you've never been there before, like today when I was playing, I was on this sort of plateau that is actually part of a big ruins. I didn't realize it until I was there. But again, it was one of those things where it's like, well, I'm near here. I'm doing another side quest, but I haven't been over there yet, and I can see it in the distance. I should probably go there.
right.
And so you get there, and actually there wasn't much on that plateau, but there's a big, you can jump off, and there are caves down by the water. Like, okay, but it was a lot of work to get up here.
Of course.
So it's like, if there's nothing down there, or I want to come up here and start over, I'll just put down this teleport pad, and then I can just get back there if I need to. Right. So it definitely it takes a little bit of the risk out of the exploration.
That's fine.
But yeah. But I've been in cleanup mode for like 2 weeks now. Because every time you go somewhere like Hateno, I was talking about, when you first get there, there's sort of this whole political intrigue happening where there's the mayor and then Cece, who's a fashion designer, who's running against him. So you end up helping both of them with their campaigns, but also doing like opponent research on both. It's really weird to put it this way, but that's really what it is. But like, it's a whole quest line that you can do in town, which feels funny when you've got, rocks falling from the sky and like, this gloom everywhere. It's like, well, but what about the local election? So
that's what's really important.
Yeah, but they just keep building on each other. It's like, well, I'll do this and then do that, and that unlocks extra quests, and it's like, okay. So but that's what I've been doing personally. So
so I went down into the gloom, or not the gloom, but the depths. Per your guys' advice. Fortunately, I did have a pretty decent supply of
arrows and blue.
What's it? The bright blooms?
Light bloom or bright bloom? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I had a 100 something of those that I had just been collecting.
You use up those fast.
Yeah, I'm down to like maybe 30.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got down there and we probably talked about it on the show, but for those who don't know, the depths is just basically basically an underworld.
It's the Upside Down.
Yeah,
it really is. I mean, it looks like it.
Yeah, you fall down this pit. Are there multiple pits around?
There are. There's chasms everywhere.
Okay.
And that's another thing to know as you're playing is, it's worth it to drop down all of them.
Okay.
Because the depths mirror Hyrule.
Right.
So like wherever there's ocean, there's a giant cliff there. You will not get over it.
Okay.
The depths. So as an example, there's an island that I was on in the southeast. That's where I've been spending a lot of my time, and there's a chasm on that island. And I hadn't quite put this together yet for some reason, so I went down it and realized, oh, okay, this is the only way to get to this part of the depths, because
so you just gotta
there's just no other way to do it. Yeah,
and bypass the surface world obstacle underground,
exactly,
and then go back up. Okay.
So but anyway, it's worth it to go down all those different chasms. There's usually something down there.
And of course, it's pitch black down there for the most part. So you need to have all these little bright bloom seeds that you can throw around to basically generate little areas of light. And as you explore, you'll occasionally find like a little beacon of light, and it's like a tree root or something.
Yeah.
And you activate it, and then that lights up a big chunk of the area.
And those mirror shrines.
Is that right?
So every shrine has a light rune underneath it.
Oh, okay.
So again, if you're looking for shrines, look at your light root.
That's the place to go.
Vice versa.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went down there, and and you meet someone like, well, I dropped down there in a chasm that is just south
Yep.
of the
The
first little
landing we
town,
can
whatever
never
it's called.
remember the name of.
Yeah, the little
Yeah.
the little village you end up at like right away.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a person down there who basically explains what the whole depths is, and then sends you on your quest to like, oh yeah, go around and light up some things. And eventually, I found like a boss fight
Mhm.
where you get the auto build power, which is great, very useful. And then, of course, because it's me, after I got it, instead of just like going back up to the surface and continuing on my way, I'm like, I wonder if I climb up this little
Mhm.
hill, I wonder if I'll see and it's like, oh yeah, look, way off in the distance, there's another route. I should probably go light that up just to light it up because I'm not going to
I'm here
remember where it
anyway.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, that continues for another few hours before I'm
Yeah.
finally like, well, now I'm running low on the little bright blooms, so I'm not going to be able to make much more progress down here. And what ultimately happened was, I mean, spoilers, I guess. I don't know. At one point, I had just lit up a route, and I'm kind of scanning around the area, and I can see off in the distance, just it's pitch black because I hadn't explored over there yet.
Mhm.
But I saw like a little beacon of light, like a little structure or something over there, and I was like, oh, in the foreboding darkness, there is a shining beacon. There must be something important there. I'm gonna jump off this big hill I'm on, and I'm gonna glide over to it and see what it is. And then I'll get out of here. I just want to see what this is. And I glide over, and then like right when I'm getting over the light, there's a giant upward gust of air, and I
Mhm.
get blown up into the sky. And then all of a sudden, like a boss meter shows up, and it's the boss from the air temple, the big
Oh, you were
flying
saying that. Yeah, yeah. See, I haven't
flying
seen this yet.
centipede.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, whoa, wait, what's going on? Because there was no like dramatic cinematic of
Mhm.
it appearing in the darkness, no acknowledgement of like, hey, this thing's back. It was just suddenly like, whoa, now I'm flying. And there's a boss meter, and I can't see anything. And I'm looking, and I'm scanning the area as I'm, hovering in midair. And sure enough, this giant monster is like right below me, getting ready to charge up at me. I have no more, I functionally have no more of the little bright bloom seeds.
Mhm.
I have no arrows. I've used up all my arrows. Attacking monsters down there or launching the bright bloom seeds.
Mhm.
So, so I was like, I gotta get out of here. So I very quickly kind of dropped down to
Teleport.
the ground. And
You can just teleport out of anything, right?
can you teleport when you're in midair?
Yep.
Okay. See,
Yeah, it's very useful.
I was too panicked at that moment, so I dropped down to the ground and then teleported away. So had I been smart, I would have tried doing that.
Yeah, every now and then you can get into a boss fight and not even realize it's about to happen, or even if you realize it. I know for me, the biggest challenge has been the Gleeoks, so the big
Okay.
like three-headed dragon things.
Yeah.
There's one on, I think it's called Hyrule Bridge. It's a giant bridge as you're heading south
Okay.
that you can't go past. Like you have to fight it, and
Hmm.
there's no cover.
Okay.
Yeah. So every now and then as you play, you'll start noticing that they're just sort of hanging out in different spots in the world.
Of
And
course.
like I just see them. It's like, nope, not going over there. That thing can live there. And I mean, they respawn. All these bosses respawn,
Oh,
right? So
yeah.
with the blood moon.
There were definitely a few enemies down in the depths that I was just like, I'm just gonna take
Yeah.
the long way around them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the I had a moment today where again I'm trying to clean up all these sort of quests. And
Yeah.
so there's as you go south, there's a fishing village, which some people will tell you. You've actually probably spoken to somebody who's talked about it already, about a village that was taken over by pirates.
Okay.
And so you can go and you can clear that village out of pirates if you want, and then there's like a whole set of quests to rebuild the village.
Hmm.
So one of the things they needed is they needed something like 15 or 20 logs.
Yeah.
But you're in an area that's tropical.
Oh.
So they're all palm trees all around
Yeah.
you, and they say like we don't want like we don't want the wood from the palm trees. We have
Right.
other plans for those right now anyway. So it needs to be not from here. So of course that's a lot of logs. They're pretty big and heavy.
Yeah.
So I was sort of teleporting around, and I probably made life a little harder on myself than I needed to. But I ended up teleporting. I thought, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teleport to a nearby stable,
Hmm.
and I'll cut down some trees around there, and then I'll put them on like a cart, and I'll bring them back with my horse.
Okay.
So I teleported to the nearest one, and it was in the middle of like a jungle.
Oh.
So there were all the trees were so big that I couldn't really cut them down. So I teleported to the one further beyond that, and there was a little sort of clutch of trees there. So I cut those all down, but there wasn't really anything good to make a cart out of.
Oh no.
So what I ended up doing is, and I had like 7 logs, so they were really heavy.
Yeah.
I ended up trying all these different configurations of like planks with wheels and stuff like that. And none of them were really working. My
Yeah.
horse was very unhappy. And at one point I finally was like, it's going to take an hour to get all these logs back to Laurelin. So I was like, screw this. I tied them all together basically, and then I used my magic hand ability, just
Mhm.
grab them and start running.
That's what I was gonna suggest. Like, could you
Yeah,
just
it was a
fuse them
long
in?
walk though, but
Yeah.
they were fused. But then I was going past a sort of a fork in the road that led down to the beach, and I'm like, well, this is wood. Why don't I float them?
Oh.
I'm from Canada. Log driving is a big thing here, or was a big thing here. So, so I just took them down to the beach
Yeah.
and lashed them all together with the magic hand again, and just sailed those things back to Laurelin. I was pretty
Beautiful.
proud of myself. I was like, okay, this is good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Good job.
So yeah, I was pretty happy with that. But yeah,
Ugh.
no, well over 100 hours. Although you're not going to need to put 100 hours in it to finish it, I don't think.
Ugh.
So
Yeah.
and only like 150 shrines. So I'm at 80. I've completed
My.
81.
Oh dear. Oh, no, I'm I think I'm over 20 hours looking at the Switch, in-game clock on your
Mhm.
profile where it's like, oh, you've played for over 5 hours. You've played for,
Right.
that. I think I've hit the over 20-hour mark, and I've done precisely one temple. So, and then just side quest stuff or just roaming around. So,
It sounds like you haven't even tried to go up into the sky yet.
no, I haven't.
There's a fair amount to do up there too. So
Ugh, I'm never going to finish this game. That is, I guarantee you that. Just, yeah. Especially since, I mean, I got Final Fantasy. I haven't even
I
touched that
know
this week.
that's one of the things that I really want to start playing that. And at some point this year, I'd still like to play through God of War.
Oh
Ragnarok.
yeah,
I hadn't even started that.
that's right.
So, but yeah, this game is. I don't normally spend this much time on a game, so
Yeah.
it's really sort of taking up all my playtime.
Well, you hooked you. That's good.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's pretty much all I've been playing this week too. I did play some Rocket League with some folks
oh,
from our Discord.
very nice.
And I was as bad as I thought I would be. I haven't played Rocket League in so long.
No, it's been years since I've played any Rocket League.
Yeah. I ended up somebody found the team finally just because there was one of their team that was usually goaltending. So somebody on my team was just like, look, just go harass that person who's playing goalie. Like, don't worry about the ball. We'll handle that. You just get in their way. I was like, okay, I can do this. So we did win one match in an hour and a half. We won one match. So, and they kept shuffling me from team to team and trying different configurations to see if we could find teams that were balanced. But I was clearly the weakest link. So I mean, I do appreciate that. But yeah,
Ugh.
it's good times.
That's pretty
Good
funny.
times. I don't know what else we're going to talk about. We're at 45 minutes, and
you want me to see if we have any tweets? I know
yeah,
CJ
go
didn't
ahead.
put out the call for tweets.
Well, I mean, there's that limit now. Make sure you don't read too many of them, or you won't be able to
crap,
make it
yeah.
anymore.
I'm gonna get my Twitter taken away from me in mid read here.
Yep.
Tweet. Here we go. Let's see. What do we have? Oh, here's one. This is kind of related to what we were just talking about from the real Dark Paul, who wants to know, what is the last game you guys finished to completion where you felt satisfied that you did everything you wanted to do and saw what you wanted to see? What's the last game you finished?
The last game I finished. See,
yeah,
just
straight
old
finished
games. Hang on one sec. I can go look this up real fast because I actually keep track of it.
I'll tell you what I finished.
Big nerd. Yeah.
Last game I finished, because I have this bad tendency to not finish games. But I did finish the new Jedi, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I finished Jedi Survivor. Now, do I feel as though I've seen everything I wanted to see? I don't, because that game has a lot of like side quest type stuff. There's a lot of like, there's a kind of minor like town building mechanic.
Really?
Yeah, because on one of the planets in that game, your buddy from the first game, the little dude with the 4 arms, he opens up a bar on this one planet in a little town. And as you go around all the other planets in the game and explore, you will occasionally find just random people. You'll rescue them. And if you talk to them, your character will say something like, "Oh, there's this tavern on this planet that seems like a pretty cool place to hang out." And then when you go back there, you'll find those people they're now set up in that town or hanging out at that bar. And sometimes they'll have, you'll open up like a side quest chain.
Right on.
Someone, you'll find there's a woman who's like a retired bounty hunter that you encounter at one point, and she ends up setting up shop at the bar, and you go to her, and she'll be like, "Oh, here's a bounty hunter I want you to track down, and if you do it, you'll get rewards and stuff like that." And so you can sort of expand your town, and like I said, all these different side quests and stuff. And I haven't cleared out all of that stuff yet. Probably I won't ever, which is a bummer, because I really enjoyed that game, and it seems like it's kind of a fun thing to go around and rescue these people or whatever, and just kind of get this little desert town bustling again. But it's like, I got so much crap on my plate.
That's one of the things that I absolutely love in in video games. I know that in previous games that I've worked on, I've pitched some sort of similar mechanic to that. Like, even if it was even if it is like a sports game where you have sort of a room that you start in that houses your trophies or something like that. Like, I've always just loved the whole idea of building a space based on just playing the game.
Yeah.
Like, the thing that really reminds me of is Suikoden. I don't know if you ever played through Suikoden.
I did not.
So with that game, of course, the whole point of that game is it's the 108 stars. I forget what the name of the story is that it's based on. But maybe it's Suikoden. I don't know. But anyway, you're finding 108 different people, but they aren't actually 108 people that you can control in battles, right? Some of them are just like, it's a cook. But early on in the game, you sort of get to this island fortress that's literally just a giant stone that's in the middle of a lake, I think, and it's like hollowed out. Parts of it are hollowed out. So like when you start there and you've got like 10 or 15 people, they're kind of like just hanging around. But as you find more people and they join the group, it evolves and it changes, and like when you go back, it's like, hey, suddenly we have like a kitchen, and suddenly we have this, and like they all have roles in the fortress,
Yeah.
and but it's not something that you put any more effort into than just finding those people. Like you don't go back and it's like, design this room and decorate that room. Like none of that happens. It's all just based on you sort of, it's a linear completion. You're finding these people, and that's how your whole base evolves. I just love stuff like that because it's just an extra layer of completion, right?
Oh yeah.
But it's really easy to deal with. Going back to the original question, I would say probably the Dead Space remake was the last time that I finished a game there where I felt like I saw pretty much everything that I wanted to see. I think there's like, I was kind of bummed at the end that I think I missed a couple of little parts that I was hoping I could go back to, but I couldn't in that same save file. So I doubt I ever will.
Yeah.
It's not my style to revisit a game like that, but
right.
But I'd say, yeah, that was probably the last one like that for me.
Nice. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Oh, sorry.
I'm trying to think like what game I felt like I've seen everything I want to see. Nothing's popping into mind immediately, but
I felt that way talking about God of War earlier. I felt that way about the 2018 God of War.
Oh,
I only finished that this year as well.
Okay.
And I know I didn't see everything in the game,
right?
But I felt good about my experience with it when I got to the end. Yeah, I will say that's one of the reasons I haven't played Ragnarok yet, is just because I just finished the first one this year. And I didn't want to jump right into Ragnarok. I've also heard Ragnarok is much longer. So
yeah, maybe Hi-Fi Rush.
Oh yeah,
I finished Hi-Fi Rush, loved every minute of it. Now there is some post game stuff. They do encourage you to go back once you finish the game to replay all the stages, because there are certain doors that you could not get through until after you beat the game. So it's very much like, oh yeah, go back now and see what secrets are hiding away in there. And I'm just like, I guess I probably will at some point, because at some point I'm going to get the urge to replay that game, because like I said, I loved it so much. So I will, go through it. I'll play the new game plus or whatever then. But for the moment, after I had finished that game, I did not immediately feel like time to play through it a complete second time. So.
Right. I'll tell you another one that comes to mind, actually, that's a little more recent, is the most recent Ratchet and Clank.
You know what? I was just, as I was describing the Hi-Fi Rush, I was like, yeah, Ratchet was kind of the same way.
Yeah, because I searched every nook and cranny of that game and upgraded every weapon to completion. I platinumed, which I don't do.
Same here.
So not that was an easy platinum, but still.
Right.
So yeah, I'd say probably the most recent one that I really,
you know what, actually
completed.
But that's all flooding back, because now I'm thinking like the Last of Us remake.
Yeah.
I mean, I platinumed that. Again, not a difficult platinum.
God, was that last year?
I think it was.
It was last year. Jesus.
Yeah. And the Miles Morales game.
Yeah.
Another one I platinumed.
I didn't platinum that, or maybe I did.
You might have.
I might have. I love that game.
I went through there's kind of a string of Sony titles I was getting platinums on, and
well, Sony puts out some really great single player stuff. So
they do. And I mean, in all fairness, again, none of those were very difficult platinums to get.
No.
But yeah, so okay. Yeah, maybe there's more than I thought. There we go.
We got any other tweets that you've seen?
Not really. There's so many of these this racing podcast. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I gotta listen to that sometime.
You probably should.
Maybe on a walk tomorrow, I'll listen to it.
You should maybe see if they'll have you on.
Yeah.
You can take them down from the inside.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll lull them into a false sense of security, and then
Yeah. That's P1 podcast is about Formula One racing. And I don't know how popular this thing is. They only have
Probably more
61
popular than us.
followers on Twitter, but they also have like a zillion tweets. So I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. The only other recent tweet I'm seeing, let's say here, let me scroll back up, scroll past all these 1,000 race car ones. And that's the other problem is I scroll through these and I see all these racing tweets sent to P1 podcast, and I don't know if it's about this F1 podcast or if it's someone talking to you about some racing game.
Whoever they are, they have great taste.
Apparently. Oh, this is about the new Transformers movie. Have we watched it?
No.
And spoiler, the end credits had an incredible reveal. What are your thoughts on the reveal? You didn't watch it, huh?
No.
I went and saw it.
You know what?
Like a week ago.
Give a spoiler warning and let's do it because I sincerely doubt I'll watch it.
Okay. I'll say this about Transformers Rise of the Beast. The 7th Transformers movie.
My God.
Can you believe that? That's discounting the original animated one. This is just live action schlock. Yeah. It was fine.
You know, for me, it's I checked out on those Transformers movies after I think the second one anyway.
Smart move.
But like the Beast Wars thing, I know people got really excited. It's like, oh, they're gonna do Beast Wars. I never watched Beast Wars. I wasn't interested in Beast Wars.
Right.
Like it just was not. Yeah. We've moved past my fandom at that point.
Right. Yeah, I didn't watch Beast Wars when it first came out, just because at that point I didn't. There was a time where I didn't care about Transformers.
Yeah.
You know.
Weird.
I know. But I did at one point, once I kind of started getting back into Transformers, I went back and watched Beast Wars because I had heard people.
I heard people loved it. People
really
liked it.
You know, it's actually pretty good. I mean, no, it's not a great show. It's a friggin' Transformers cartoon.
Right.
But it's certainly better than the old G1 show. You know, the animation's terrible.
The G1 show is not amazing.
Oh no, it's terrible.
Like I remember I have all the seasons on DVD.
Oh yeah, same here.
And I've tried to watch through them at various points, and it's like, well, this is pretty bad.
It doesn't work. No,
it's my childhood memories are way better than this show.
Yeah, you have to be like 9 years old in 1985 to have enjoyed that.
Yeah,
because it ain't good. But Beast Wars, is a pretty legitimately good show. If you can get past the horrendous animation.
Oh God, that was one of those early CG shows, wasn't it?
It's very early CG, and it looks it.
That's a trend I just was never into.
No, they were jumping the gun. The technology was not caught up to the storytelling at that point. But yeah, the movie's fine. I mean, it's not a good movie, certainly, but on the scale of live action Transformer movies, it's certainly the second best.
Okay,
right after Bumblebee. But yeah, it was fine. It was fine.
So what was this reveal at the end?
So the big reveal, spoiler alert, for a stupid live action Transformers movie. Who cares? Nobody. You shouldn't care. The live action it's the 7th.
This would be like spoiling the new Indiana Jones movie.
What's that?
This would be like spoiling the new Indiana Jones movie.
God, I can't bring myself to want to go see that.
No,
it's terrible.
No,
I mean, when I say it's terrible, I don't mean the movie's terrible. The movie might be fine. I don't know.
Did anyone want that movie?
I don't know. I guess maybe Harrison Ford. He loves Indy. The dude loves Indy.
I don't blame him. Indy's a great character.
Yeah.
Great stories. The first 3.
Or as much as that man hates Han Solo, he loves Indiana Jones.
Heck, I even liked Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Oh, really?
Oh, I used to love watching that show.
I see. I could never get into that.
Yeah. That's another one that at the time, I
Yeah.
could watch it, and I really
Mhm.
liked it. That's another one that I have the whole series on
Oh,
DVD. I
yeah.
have never been able to get past the first 2 episodes.
Old TV, man.
Oh.
Does not always hold up.
Mm.
Anyway, so at the end of the movie, the main human character. You know what? Here's one.
Spike Witwicky?
No, the
Boo.
Witwikis were that was the Shia LaBeouf. He was
Recast.
the Witwicky in the live action movie verse, and they killed his character off in between movies.
Did they really? Good for them.
In the fifth Transformers movie.
This is like talking about the Fast and Furious
I know. The last Michael Bay movie, which was by far the worst one. There's a quick scene where Anthony Hopkins, they got Anthony Hopkins to
What?
slum in that movie. I don't know what dirt Michael Bay has on like legitimately good actors in Hollywood, but it's like John Turturro, Stanley Tucci, Francis
I
McDormand.
forgot John Turturro was in the first one.
He was in the first two.
Oh god.
If Francis McDormand was in one of them, Stanley Tucci's in two of them. He plays Merlin in the last one. Merlin the wizard. It's not a good movie. But he's got Anthony Hopkins at one point reveals that Shia LaBeouf's character is dead.
Okay.
So that seems to be a trend for poor Shia. But the human character. Well, what I was saying is that one of the nice things about this movie is they actually do treat the robots like characters. Because the Michael Bay movies, they were very much props.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this one, the robots are actually characters, which was kind of nice. But at the end, there's a human. Well, there are a couple humans who go along on this robot adventure. And one of them, I think there may have been like a little throwaway line at the beginning that he was like a former soldier or something. And at the end of the movie, he's is given a card or something to go to this building at this time. We need to the government needs to talk to you. And he's like, oh, it's some sort of this is some sort of they're grilling me about my Transformer adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes there and he's talking to some very kind of militaristic fellow. Oh, you've served your country well, blah 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 blah. You have great skills. We think we could use you on our team. And the kid's like, oh, I don't know. And then he's like, oh, here, I'm going to give you this card. You give us a call. And he flips the card over and it has the G.I. Joe logo on it.
Oh, God.
And then... and then as though...
This is way less interesting than I thought it was going to be.
And then as though that wasn't enough of a sell, they actually did like some ADR of the actor going, G.I. Joe, huh? Like, like we couldn't read it. And it's just like, oh, I don't know. I don't know.
That was it?
That was it, yes. Carlitos Way 1999 thought it was an incredible reveal.
You know what?
Yeah.
Sorry. My reaction is probably based more on the fact that G.I. Joe was another toy that I was just not interested in the least when I was a kid. I know a lot of people were really, my cousin was so into G.I. Joe.
Well, certainly G.I. Joe Transformers have been kind of a tangentially related for since the inception, really.
Weren't there comic books? Didn't they have crossover in comics? Yeah.
Yep. There were crossovers in the old Marvel comics. There've been several crossovers over the years.
Right.
There are a line of toys now where it's like G.I. Joe vehicles that turn into like Megatron
robots in disguise.
Yeah. My reaction was just kind of like, oh, I don't know, Hasbro, because they're clearly trying to do like a cinematic universe.
Well, who isn't?
Well, that's just it, right? I did notice that the GI Joe logo on the business card was the same logo that they used for the live action GI Joe movies.
Mm-hmm.
That were not good, and I thought we're kind of just we're forgetting about those, but maybe not. So
Those are movies I've never seen.
I saw the first one. It was not good. And then there was a second one that I didn't see, and then there was a Snake Eyes
Right, I
like,
remember hearing about that.
spin-off movie that I've heard was just horrendous. But so I don't know. The movie was fine though. The movie it was fine. You know.
We just finished watching. The reason we started late is because my daughter wanted to watch Dungeons and Dragons because it's on. It just came out on Netflix today.
Now there's a good movie.
That's a fun movie. Let me
Ed,
tell you. I'll tell you what.
I did not expect. I had heard nothing but good things about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, yeah, we'll watch it. I didn't expect anything out of it. But that's a fun movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of stuff in there for people. I'm not a big D&D fan, although I have been playing it for a couple years, sort of on and off with my group.
Yeah.
So, you know, I definitely saw a few things. It's very, there's a lot of references to the actual Dungeons and Dragons sort of rule set and character set and everything, which is awesome. I loved the one thing I did notice when I saw it in the theaters is when they're in the games at the end, one of the parties is based on the old D&D cartoon show, which I did watch when I was a kid, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just a really fun movie.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on it's on Netflix in Canada.
On Netflix here. It just came out today on today on Netflix here in Canada.
Here in the States, it's on Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus, yeah.
So if you have the means to watch it and you haven't, give that.
It's a good time. It's like 2 hours. Get some of your, just get some snacks, and it's just a fun movie to sit and watch, especially with your kids.
Oh
it's a very kid friendly movie.
It is.
So
Dana and I watched it back when it first came out on VOD, and her reaction was like, this is a movie I would watch at a sleepover.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it is. It's just a fun, you don't have to think too hard about any of it.
No.
And
I mean, special effects aside, it feels like a movie that was made in 1987.
Yeah.
But in the good way.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
No. It does. It feels like kind of a late 80s adventure fantasy movie. And all the kind of positive vibes that would give you.
Yeah.
So
I have a question for you.
Oh, I love questions.
Because we got to fill a little bit more time here. We can't end the show yet.
I mean, we already spent a lot of time talking about stupid Transformers movies.
This is something that I think our listeners might find interesting. So we don't, I mean, when we first started the show, we talked a lot about sort of our history working in the games journalism and stuff like that.
Yes.
We don't go back over that sort of content too much.
Right.
Because I feel like a lot of our longtime listeners have heard it.
Yeah.
But I was listening to some other shows the last couple of weeks, and I forget which one it was, but somebody asked, and it might have been a show I was on, and they asked me, I don't remember, but I heard this question, and I was like, oh, that's a good question. So I'm curious with you. Okay. What would you say was the moment that you fell in love with video games?
Oh,
because I think, the three of us are all in that boat. I mean, we've all worked in and around the industry for decades at this point.
Right.
So there had to be a passion for games there, that when was it born?
Oh, I mean, early.
Mm-hmm.
Very early.
But do you remember, was there a moment?
I don't remember an exact moment. Obviously we are old, which means we were around for not necessarily the birth of video games. I wasn't playing Tennis for Two on a radar oscilloscope or anything like
That's
that.
that's an interesting point that we should come back to. But yeah, keep
Okay.
going.
But we were certainly around for kind of the dawn of arcades and the dawn of home consoles.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly video games were, back in the early 80s, a gigantic phenomenon, and it's weird to think about what video games were like back then, because they are so kind of omnipresent these days. They're just an entertainment medium
Absolutely.
these days. That, it's like movies or music or television. It's just an entertainment medium.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, gigantic business.
It's as ubiquitous as YouTube videos at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was a novelty. It was, a lot of people labeled it as a fad, and certainly there was a big crash that kind of gave credence to those claims.
Mm-hmm.
It did just kind of seem like, oh, maybe this was just a thing that was popular for a while, but it was so new and so different and so unusual, just like the idea of being able to hold a controller and use it to move something on a screen.
I was going to say, being able to move something on a screen was sort of the big thing. Yeah.
And it's bonkers to think about that,
because up until then, screens were anything on a screen was a passive experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, that I could move a joystick and I'm making this little yellow circle go through a maze was an incredible novelty.
Yeah.
And at that time I was like 5 years old in 1980. So my memories are obviously very vague and spotty from that point, and it's a lot less specific memories that I can recall, and more of a just kind of a general feeling of what I sort of felt the world was like back then. So there was no like, the first time I played Space Invaders, something clicked. It's nothing like that. But it's just kind of this miasma of vague, somewhat interconnected memories. I remember being at a pizza parlor and literally playing Space Invaders for the first time. Maybe not.
So I guess to reframe it,
yeah,
because so I've been thinking about this, and so yes, you're right. I was born in the 70s as well, and I don't remember a time when we didn't have a video game console in our house. Not because my parents were into it or anything like that, but I just don't remember a time where we didn't have an Atari 2600.
Oh, okay.
That's the first thing I remember us having.
Okay.
So we had one. We had some games, like, my brother and I would play Combat and Dodge'em were our two main ones. Frogger was huge for us.
Yeah.
Centipede was one of my favorites too. But like, so yeah, like we had that. I think the only reason we had that is because my dad had bought it for my uncle at one point.
Okay.
When I was born, my uncle was like 18, so he was like the perfect age.
Oh yeah.
For and my dad was in his he was 28, so he was in his mid 20s, and of course, video games weren't little kids stuff. I mean, little kids played them, but they weren't just because, like you said, they were a novelty. You got an Atari. Everyone had an Atari.
Yeah.
So, and I liked it. And then my stepdad, I remember, he had an Atari as well. So when we would go to my mom's place, we could play like pinball and Pac-Man and stuff. Like, he had stuff like that. So I liked video games, but what I'm talking about, when I think about it, I think that when we got our NES, like, I would never pass up a chance to play a game. If I was at a friend's house and you want to play video games, sure. But it wasn't my reason for being there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It wasn't, but when we got our Nintendo, I would go over to like a friend's place, or a friend would come over to my place sometimes to specifically play video games. Right. And it's like, I plan my weekend around going to the video store and renting a Nintendo game. Like, so I sort of count the day we got our NES as when like sort of the passion for video games was born. I didn't not like it before that, but it didn't kind of it sounds pathetic to say it this way sometimes, but my life didn't revolve around it.
Right.
You know,
No,
it wasn't my number one hobby, that sort of thing. So yeah, I guess that's what I'm looking at. I mean, you know, the first time you played game, sure, but like and maybe that was it. Was it the first time you played a game is like, I would love to do something peripheral to this for the rest of my life.
It really was. I mean, that's why I'm kind of like harping so much on that kind of early experience where it was like, you know, that feeling of being in that pizza parlor playing Space Invaders. We did not have an Atari early on. I played that over at my grandma's house because my uncle, who was 20, 21,
so the right age again.
Yeah, he was that age. He had an Atari. So I would, when we would go over to grandma's house and he was still living at home, I would play his Atari and Pitfall and River Raid and Night Driver and
oh, he was buying good games.
He was. Oh no, he had legitimately good games. So I would play them over at his house, and eventually, I'm assuming it was for Christmas, we got an Atari one year, so I could finally start playing those at home. But yeah, it was an absolute obsession. I was totally hooked. I was just like, this is, and again, kind of going back to that novelty of controlling something on a screen. And again, early 80s, as computers are starting to turn into a thing, that whole aspect, that kind of computer technology world was endlessly fascinating to me. I'd go over to my cousin's house, who was maybe 8 years older than me, and he was a big computer nerd. He ended up eventually becoming like a engineer, making like he was making like microchips for like AMD and Nvidia and stuff like that. Like he became like a full-on engineer. He also died about a year or so ago from a drug overdose. So stay off drugs, kids. Wow. I know it was a shame because he was my favorite cousin. He was great
too, but
yeah. But he was a hardcore computer nerd, and he had like probably like an Apple IIe or something at the time. But I'd go over to his house and he would show me, he'd be in the middle of programming some game he was making on his Apple, and he'd have stacks of computer magazines piled up in his rooms, and I would flip through them and I would read them. I wouldn't understand a damn thing about it, but it was fascinating to me. Just like, you can do anything you want with these things.
Sure.
You can make all these cool games. You can do all these cool programs and stuff. So yeah, I got hooked on that kind of thing super early. And that was my hobby. That's what I did. That's what I would go out and play with my friends and watch cartoons and play with toys and everything else. But like, video games seemed like such a, like, this is science fiction. This is the future. This is what things are going to be.
Right.
So yeah. And then, when the NES came out and kind of reinvigorated the video game market here in the US, that was just kind of like reinforcing what I had already known. It was like, oh, cool. This is now it's really starting to ramp up.
Right.
We're getting better games and better graphics and that sort of thing. So yeah, it was early on. There was no like moment, but I certainly got kind of caught in that web early.
Going back to what you said before we wrap up, what you said about not necessarily being there for the birth of video games, because we're not quite old enough for that.
Right.
But what I will say is our generation, and I'm totally cribbing this from Bill over at A Gamer Looks at 40, because he said it in an episode a while back, and it was just to paraphrase him, and it makes perfect sense. It's like, yes, our generation wasn't necessarily there for the birth of video games, but we definitely grew up with them.
Oh yeah,
and we grew up with the industry. Like the industry grew up with us. Like we,
absolutely.
We were there when, again, games were not a fad, but they were thought of as a fad.
Yeah,
at first, but we were in mid 70s, so we were there for the rebirth and to see it sort of grow from a really small industry, even in the arcade side, to evolve to what it is today, which is, it's interesting to me because our kids are in a world where, like you said, video games are just another medium. There's not to say they're not special, but there's nothing. I don't know.
There's not that
you always
newness.
have access to them,
Yeah.
in every different, and there's so many.
Yeah.
It's like where we come from, a time where it was real easy to, especially if you were just on the console side, to know everything and to play almost everything that was coming out, and go to an arcade and see the latest games, and you were up on it at that point, right? Like,
oh yeah.
But now I don't know how you would even possibly try to do something like that between indies and apps and all that stuff. Like,
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, I just thought it was. I thought it was an interesting question, and it made me really think about it. It's like, because the first time I touched a video game wasn't the first time, or wasn't the moment where I thought, like, man, like this is my hobby. This is my thing. It was definitely getting our NES was for me, and a lot of that had to do with, again, because I was still in. Well, I think I was in junior high at the time when we got our NES.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I made, it was playground. Everybody had a Nintendo. I made instant friends.
Oh yeah,
that year.
you absolutely did.
Yeah, just because we all had Nintendos and we were all trading games and playing games with each other. And I mean, some of those friendships didn't last all that long, and some were lifelong. I have friends today that I met on the schoolyard talking about Nintendo games.
Yep.
So,
yeah. Yes, indeed.
Anyway. Yeah. So I just sort of had that sitting there because I know we didn't have much else prepped for the night. So. But I think that's it then. I think that's our show.
Well,
what do you think?
Then.
All right. What do you got in your hand?
Works.
What do you got in your hand?
Oh, you'll know who this is.
What is his name?
He's a blue dune buggy.
Yep.
He turns into a robot. Look, you can see his chest and his arms
one of the
there.
Little mini guys that you get on the
Yes.
Yeah.
They did a new version of Beachcomber.
For some reason I couldn't get Cliff Jumper out of my head.
Who can't?
Right?
Yeah.
Was he
little red Porsche?
Was he the one who was voiced by Casey Kasem?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And then in the animated Transformers movie.
Yep.
When they were launching their ship, I want you to make a special run to Autobot City on Earth. And it was like, Cliff Jumper, proceed with the countdown. And so you got...
Oh, yeah, and he's really forceful about it. 5, 4.
Coming in at number 1.
Dude, just dial it back a little.
Nope.
We're just launching
on with the countdown.
We're just launching the shuttle.
Number 5. 4. And topping the charts at number 1. Blast off.
Yeah. All right, and that's our show for this week.
We
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that little trip down memory lane to fill some time at the end. That's all we're really doing.
What, Greg? That was a good conversation. That was a heartfelt conversation. And you know what? For my money, I would rather us talk about that sort of nonsense than sit here and debate whether 60 frames is better than 30 frames a second. Right?
That's fair.
Right?
That's fair.
Darn tootin'.
If you like what you've heard, please consider discussing the show with us and our other listeners over on our Discord server. And you can also check out our website at playeronepodcast.com, where you'll find episodes, you'll find blog entries about different things, usually from me when I get around to doing it, Sega CD stuff, Generation 16, and all that other great content that I put out every 6 or 7 months. And I think that's all I'm going to say because I don't remember. I still didn't look up what CJ says at the end of these shows. So
yeah, it's fine. And then people are already checking out.
Yeah, they're gone.
Yes. If you'd like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by visiting playeronepodcast.com or by loading up your favorite podcast listening app. Well, oh wait, now Stitcher's dead?
Stitcher's not dead yet, but it's dying.
Okay. Well, for the time being, we're on Stitcher Radio. We're on Spotify. You can like us on Facebook. You can watch video archives of our show on the youtubes.com/P1 podcast, or you can tune in and watch us live most weeks on the YouTubes, the Facebooks, twitch.televisions, all over the dang place, except of course for Twitter, which of course is rapidly dying even faster than usual. I got a Blue Sky invite.
Oh, send one to the rest of us.
Send
one to the rest of us.
Well, well, here's the thing, because I was given a Blue Sky invite by one of my Twitter followers who I believe listens to our show. And I don't want to say a name just in case he doesn't want me to. But I was very, very appreciative. Unfortunately, they Blue Sky they stopped taking signups. Yeah, like right. Again, super generous to send me one of those invites, but then it's like, well, I can't do anything with it now. So hopefully they turn it back on soon. But I think the way it works is once you get signed up, like maybe like every week or two, you get an invite that you can hand out to people.
Okay.
So I gotta give there's this lady who lives with me. She wants one, so I gotta give her one first. And then
okay.
And then I have
priorities are a little messed up, but sure.
I know. And then I gotta several dozen other people. But once I get through all of them, I'll give you one.
Okay.
For a small finder's fee. But we can negotiate that later. No, so I'm excited to get on there. Hopefully it's not a garbage dump. We'll see. But you can watch our show live. Typically, we record on Sunday nights at 5:30 specific time. So follow our, I guess Twitter for the time being, or our Mastodon to find out.
We promise we don't tweet very much, so we won't use up a lot of your quota.
Oh boy, what a thing! My goodness. But yeah, come watch us live if you would like. Why not? And I'll tell you what, if you like what you've heard, and how could you? Head over to patreon.com/P1 podcast. Throw a few shekels our way. Maybe we'll learn enough that we can bribe CJ to come back
someday.
Maybe. No guarantees, but maybe we can lure him back one of these days. Now, your Patreon funds, of course, go to support our wonderful show, keep us streaming and all that stuff. And if you are a Patreon friend of the $5 tier,
cheap,
you gain access to a special weekly bonus episode. We record it right after this. We play games, crack wise, having fun, doing all the stuff we can't do on the regular shows. I almost said CJ just out of muscle memory there. Greg, do we have a game? We don't have a game, do we?
No, we're doing it off the cuff, man. I have a plan.
Oh,
we'll see how well it works. I think what I'd like to do, we're gonna do a review game. We're gonna do an EGM review game.
Okay,
that's all I'm telling you for now.
But I'm the only person competing.
Yep.
So it's
you versus me. I get a point every time you're wrong.
Well, congratulations on the many points you're gonna get. This is just
it's only gonna be 50 questions, so it should go quick.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah,
we can blow through those.
Yeah.
So if you want to see what an idiot I am, I mean, again, tune in for the after show if you'd like. Tell you what, if you have a couple bucks left over, head over to patreon.com/Greg Seward to help support this guy's outstanding, and it is outstanding web series about North America's favorite runner-up of the Sega Genesis.
Thank you, Phil. And if you're a supporter of the $5 variety,
also cheap.
Thank you, Satan. You get access to the weekly commute, which is a weekly, mostly weekly vlog series where I talk about all the different projects I'm working on. Got some pretty significant updates for this week. The latest episode of Generation 16, the script is almost written. I'm getting really excited about it.
Yeah.
And just put out a Let's Read last week where I read through issue 67 of Expert Gamer, which was my third issue at the magazine. Also roped in Todd Zuniga and chatted with him about the games that he covered, because he did the cover game that month, which was Donkey Kong 64. And speaking of that, coming up this week on Wednesday, if you're a supporter of $3 variety or higher, you've already got access to this. Thank you. You've already got access to this video. But coming this Wednesday, I'm publishing mostly the whole conversation I had with Todd.
Oh, nice.
In video form. So, yeah, please tune in to check that out. And thank you so much for your support. If you are a supporter, it goes towards important stuff, especially paying for the Adobe license I use every month. So,
oh, nice.
And if you're not a supporter, please consider it.
It's well worth it. Greg's videos are legit good.
Thanks, man.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't. You know what? If they weren't, I probably just wouldn't say anything.
Actually, I have some stuff here that's a hint as to one of the other videos I'm working on right now.
Oh, what have you got?
Hang on.
He's rifling through some things.
These jewel cases are hard to hold.
What do you got? Oh, I see Ridge Racer. I see Ridge Racer Revolution. I see R4, Ridge Racer Type 4, and I see is that Rage Racer?
That is Rage Racer, yes.
Rage Racer. So are you doing some sort of a like Mega Man video?
No, Gran Turismo.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like driving.
I
gotcha. Tie into the new movie that's coming out.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah. David Harbour asked me to. He was like, "Hey, fuckface, I know you live in your parents' basement.
Wow.
You're never gonna be anything.
My goodness.
Because you play video games."
That is like pretty much his entire dialogue from those trailers.
Yeah, that's the original script.
Yeah. How many times can he remind people that these just scrawny gamer nerds?
Hey, you scrawny 90-pound weakling,
living in your parents' basement, eating Doritos, your Cheeto stained hands. Come on, man. Anyway, there's that. Is that it?
I think that's it.
Okay, no CJ this week, so I'll just say Gregory.
Yo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Philip.
Has Satan ever said Gregory?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Gregory?
Wow.
Yeah, that sounded good.
Rivers down my spine.
Yeah, that's right. The devil's creeping.
Felt like somebody's walking over my grave.
Gregory. I'll see you later, John.
I know you will.
Oh, dear. That sounded like a threat. Anyway, thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Phil.
And thank you, our wonderful, wonderful listeners. Every single one of you. Remember, as always, take care of yourself, your loved one, your family, your friends. Do what you got to do to be safe. Be kind and nice to each other. And golly, we hope to see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.